Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today at Publicis Commerce on the I Could Buy That series. We want to keep this concise, so let me remind you about the rules of the game before we get into it. First, we invite a credible guest to share a thought that will expand how we look at the world of commerce. This month's guest is Allie Wassum, VP Group Director of Social Strategy at Digitas. Second, we ask them to open up with their thesis in one short sentence to set the stage. Chances are this will be something fresh that requires a bit of an explanation to get better understanding. Finally, we dive in deeper looking at 3 key data points to back the thesis, with some great stories to tie it all up and leave you with enough to think through and hopefully change the way you look at our industry as a whole. So first off, hi Ali, nice to have you
Hi.
with us today. Please tell us a bit about yourself other than having an amazing name.
Thank you. Yes, Allie Wassum does rhyme with awesome. I did go by that for a long time, and I have it on a jacket from high school. So, fun fact. I work at Digitas. I lead up our social strategy practice, and I have been working in the social space since before there were any paid ads in social, before Facebook even had an algorithm. I was out there working with mommy bloggers. I have seen the social space expand in so many incredible ways. And one of the ways that I have really seen it start to escalate, particularly over the past year, is in the commerce space. And that's why I'm so excited to be here today chatting with you.
Awesome. I'm happy that you're here. Not only because we're good friends at this point, but also I think we're good friends because in the last 3 weeks, I've received maybe 15 or 20 requests from clients just saying, "Hey, social commerce, please show up with a presentation. We want to know." Um, First, what is social commerce? And second, why the rush towards all of this right now? Why does this feel like the only thing anyone wants to talk about that everyone needs to be read up on?
Sure. So, social commerce, there's two ways of thinking about social commerce. The first way of thinking about it is really just people buying directly through a social platform, which is something that over the past couple of years has increased significantly, especially during the pandemic, which is why you're getting so many different requests from people. And the second is, and maybe less so used in this way, but social informing commerce like behavior. So things that people see in social that then make them want to buy is also a big way that people are thinking about social commerce. But typically, when we talk about it, we're talking about the first one, which is people actually buying through a platform directly. And we saw, when people were locked inside, so many of us were using social media. I think it was like 30% on every increase usage on every single platform. And we were buying both online more, but also via social more because the technology was starting to match the demand. And so many clients are coming to us because they're starting to see the different technologies come out that are really, really interesting. And they also understand that social media is usurping so much more of our time. And they're coming saying, how do I use that time? How do I use those mindsets to my advantage to sell more?
That's cool. So what you're saying is that social commerce essentially is a great way to get 16-year-olds to buy jogger pants and hair ties.
I'm
What happens on
I'm
social commerce?
so glad you asked that because my actual real thinking here is that yes, maybe right now or maybe last year people were using social to buy really low price point things, but I actually think in the next 5 years we're going to see people start buying cars from social media. And I
A
think that
$35,000 car that takes 9 months
yes,
to consider.
yes. And the reason for that is because social is where people are going to be inspired. And it's not just inspiring people, it's actually like shortening that time between inspiration and purchase that really can't happen in any other channel. There's nowhere else where you can see a post from an influencer and buy right there in that platform with a seamless, frictionless experience. And the more and more people get comfortable with it and the technology comes along with it, we'll start to see people buying cars. Price point won't matter.
So I'm shocked. I feel like I'm one of those few people who, I'm now a repeat purchaser of jogger pants on social commerce. I'm probably driving the social commerce economy to myself alone. Lululemon's going down because I'm buying from these D2C brands to get these pants, right? So like you've got the idea that it's a great place for me to see these up and coming brands. But what you're saying is that not only will I move from spending $35 to $35,000, but I'll also move from this being the platform for no name brand with just like good product to Ford or to General Motors. So General Motors will go on Instagram and through an influencer will capture my attention. Like, what makes you think that? What backs this up?
Okay, so there's a few different reasons for this.
Mm-hmm.
First is, and we talked about the inspiration level of social media, but I think it's an important part because we're not getting information about the car we want to buy or the luxury items we want to buy from just one place anymore. We're going there, and we're basically never not shopping when we're on social media, right? So we're seeing inspiration. We're spending 2 hours a day on social media. We're discovering the same amount of products on social that we're discovering from TV, right? And the difference from buying a car online, which a lot of people do these days, and in social is so small. And the way that you can use social media to really shorten that distance from inspiration to buying is increasing. So, or is decreasing, sorry. So, there's more and more commerce opportunities that are popping up on our platforms. There's two that I think are really important. The first is we're seeing that the platforms are integrating technology that is increasing people's comfort level with buying and social. So one of the things we saw last week was Facebook integrated with Shopify and is allowing people to use this thing called Shop Pay in order to buy through their platform. This makes people feel a lot more comfortable. They don't want Facebook to have their credit card information. Totally get it. With these types of partnerships, and even we know that they're building out even stronger APIs with other vendors, you'll be able to not have to share your financial information, but also buy directly on Instagram. The second reason is commerce and creators are like milk and cookies. So when you think about creators, they're providing social proof constantly. And we know social proof is the thing that gets people to buy things, right? Well, what if you have the social proof, the use case, and the value prop all in one post on Instagram? And you can just click, see it tagged, and buy it. And one of the things that the platforms are starting to do is give creators a part of that. So they're allowing creators to get buybacks, so portions of the spend that you might buy. So they're tagging products more frequently, and it encourages a little bit more authenticity on the platform. It's so frequent we see these platforms turn into just a feed full of ads that turns people off, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the same thing that happens when you go to an Amazon or any other site where you're looking through and you just see a million ads for a million different things. But in social, you can use creators to create a really authentic experience and keep that feed from feeling oversaturated with marketing junk, to be honest with you. So that authenticity and that ability for creators to really be a part of the purchase journey, and not just like the beginning of the purchase journey, but all the way to the bottom of the funnel and back around again, is what's really going to change our ability to not only buy like these lower price point things, but higher price point things, because we're seeing it all in one place.
I mean, we opened this platform so that people could share hot takes with us. I think this is probably the hottest take of all. So first, thank you for sharing that. But I do want to ask, you spoke about authenticity of the creators on each of the platforms. And
Yep.
As an avid user, like I'm probably, again, the 2 hour average, I'm on the higher end of that.
Yeah. Same.
And as an avid, I hope, as an avid user of both Instagram and TikTok, I realize their differences. Let's say I was a General Motors client. How would you suggest that, let's say I bought into this idea that I could sell a car on a post. How would you advise I behave differently, or that my brand behave differently or be exposed differently on both Instagram and TikTok to drive to a sale?
So that's such a great question, because there's so much difference between those two platforms. Obviously, Instagram is that more shiny, beautiful, really inspirational, aspirational type of a thing, where TikTok is really getting into the nitty-gritty, having fun with stuff and really showing the real of a product. So if I were talking to GM in this instance, and we were trying to come up with something for them to do on TikTok, I would say let's partner with a few creators. Let's give them a car and let's let them go gangbusters with that car and then enable commerce using technology on the back end. So if they live stream driving around in their Jeep on the side of a road with so much mud or it's going crazy. I saw a TikTok the other day where like the father and son just had mud all over them because they just went really like straight through this like crazy muddy mountain. And at the end of it, you can just tap right there on that car and you can buy it right then. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, the relationships that people have with creators these days is unreal. And if they know that you have enabled that creator to bring them awesome content over and over and over again, they're already going to give you that brand love. And now you have that plus the ability for someone to purchase right away. When you think about Instagram, for instance, you might do something a little bit different. You might have that creator post pictures of their family with the car or the different like adventures or travel that they've done, and really show how that car, depending on whatever the value proposition of it is, if it's an adventure driven car, right? Well, then you can show the different adventures that that influencer is going on, and the different benefits that the car provides to them.
Mhm.
Obviously, we know that that journey of buying a car, to your point earlier, is more like a 9-month journey. Have the influencer be talking about it for a long period of time and let them do it authentically. Don't put too much on them. Don't give them too many things to say. Really let them do what they know their audience wants to see and enable the social commerce on the back end, because we know, like I said earlier, people are never not shopping. So they might be inspired by what you're seeing. They might like love the content you're producing, and finally they've seen it enough times that they're just like, "You know what? I'm buying this thing." And that's how it's going to work.
I mean, I love the fact that you're thinking about the connection point between the brand and the influencer, as opposed to speaking, just to what the brand cares about, or just defending the influencer, so that me as a user could end up with something richer. I love the quote as well, where you said, "We're never not shopping."
Yep.
I do the bulk of my shopping on Amazon Prime. Do you see Instagram taking over, or taking on Amazon Prime? Like, am I sitting on suddenly some sort of like shopping app that just needs to be unlocked? Like, where do they compete?
I definitely think Instagram could rival Amazon Prime in the future. We've seen Amazon try and do some interesting things with creator, but the difference is when you go to Amazon, you go with purpose. You're going there because you're looking for something specific or you're looking to buy a gift for someone. You have that kind of mindset already ready to go. On social and on Instagram, right? People are just spending so much time in their feed doing lots of different things that buying is just like a byproduct of something that's happening there versus you having to find that perfect moment when someone's ready to buy and then capitalize on it like Amazon does. So if you think about it, like you're not spending 2 hours a day on Amazon, or if you are, you're some sort of professional buyer, and congratulations to you. I wish I could do that. But you are spending 2 hours on Instagram. You are spending like crazy amounts of time on TikTok. And so the products are kind of like secondary, but they're primary when you're ready to buy. And it's very different from Amazon where there's not that mindset. There's already that like intent. You already need to have marketed enough to get someone there to buy. Whereas on the other platforms, you don't have to do any of that. You could literally be a brand they never knew about and they saw a post one time and bought it because they loved it.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. All right, so let me just encapsulate this and make sure I got this right. So what you're saying is that it's not the price point that's stopping people from buying things on social. What the opportunity in social is, in fact, cutting the time between inspiration and point of purchase. And now today that's possible. So what works for a $35 jogger pant will move to a $35,000 General Motors car. And basically that's on the back of social is already a place where people go to be inspired, right?
Yep.
And then second is the fact that these commerce solutions allow creators to remain authentic uh, to the platform and then to themselves, and allow people who follow them to believe and then take action on what they're seeing. And lastly, there's this better technology across these social platforms that helps with trust and activating the purchase itself.
Yep.
So the reason why we're getting these calls, so many clients are so curious about social commerce all of a sudden is because we just might be at that point where everything's come together, where, to your point, it's a place where a few years from now we might be buying cars from social. So you've got me sold.
Haha.
One down, 7 billion to go. What would the haters say? What would your haters say when they hear this? When they hear Allie Wassum, whose name rhymes with awesome, saying you could buy a car on Instagram?
I think people will say, for the most part, the haters are going to say people aren't buying things over $100 or $150 right now on social, and that's true. That's the habit today. But what they're forgetting about is a few different things. One, the amount of purchasing that's happening via mobile devices today, the different technologies, like we talked about, that the platforms are incorporating, and the importance of influencers and really their like credibility in the space, and social being the only place that really enables you to buy directly from an influencer in a really authentic way and be inspired and buy all in the same kind of realm. So a lot of people forget that there's a lot of technology and a lot of things on the horizon that are going to get us there. And they're just looking at the stats of what's happening right now. The trajectory is so interesting though, because when you look at years past, the increase in buying on social was very minimal. It was like 1%, 2% every year. And then the past year jumped by almost 30%. Maybe it was almost 40% actually. And so when you look at that jump, it's going to continue to jump like that because the technology is enabling it to do that.
Got it. So you spoke about the horizon when these things come into place. What does that future state look like for you when social commerce is a place where you could buy anything, when you're never not shopping? This world that you've designed in your head, you're obviously planning for it. Like, please paint the picture. What does it look like?
I am thinking of like home network sites that used to be on TV, like happening on your mobile device in a social feed. So, we think about creators as publishers today. I think of them as, having their own whole home network where they can live stream their lives almost with products in the background that you can buy, not even having to like talk about it or shine a light on them, but they're just there and you're able to buy them and the creators are able to get compensated for that. And so I really see that world, and I know a lot of people kind of are like, what? But being able to buy from a live stream with AR enabled and AI, the ability to see products in a thing without even having to have tagged it as a seller to begin with because of artificial intelligence, that's going to completely change the game. And so the most people can go and really set up their back ends, set up their product tags today, and really start to invest in things like AR, AI, and any of the partnerships that we know these platforms are starting to form, the more they're going to be set up for success in this dream world that I think will become reality.
I'm really happy I rewatched The Truman Show last week because this sounds exactly like that.
Yeah,
it is. All right. Okay, cool. Well, I wanted to give you one opportunity. So we have this platform and we're going to deploy this as far and wide as possible. If you could speak to the market directly and say one thing to all of our peers to back up your philosophy, to just bring your thinking to a close, what would it be?
People are never not shopping. And when they're in social, they're never not shopping, and people are ready for your brand, whether or not you think it. You really don't have to work that hard as long as you're working alongside the right technology and the right creators.
Perfect. All right. Well, Ali, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today, and thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having
everyone
me.
else. Yeah, thank you for everyone else for listening and for watching. We hope this got you thinking, and we'd love to hear your feedback. Drop us an email if you do, and join us again next month for another great guest who will hopefully leave you thinking, I could buy that.